When you were younger, summer felt endless. A single school year felt like an entire lifetime. A weekend felt big, an hour could feel like forever. You could spend an afternoon doing almost nothing, and somehow it still felt full. The sky looked bigger, the streets felt longer, the walk home from school felt like a journey. Even waiting for your birthday felt like waiting for another life to begin. But then something strange happens. You get older, and suddenly time starts moving differently. January becomes June, June becomes December, and somehow another year is gone before your brain even understands what happened. You look back and think, wait, wasn't that just last month? But it wasn't, it was 2 years ago. A memory that feels close is suddenly far away. A version of you that feels recent is already gone, and the weirdest part is, nothing dramatic had to happen. Time just disappeared. Quietly, one ordinary day at a time. It almost feels like life speeds up the older you get, but maybe time itself is not moving faster. Maybe your brain is just saving less of it. Because your brain does not record your life like a camera. It does not capture every second equally. It chooses, it edits, it compresses. It throws away things it thinks it already understands. And that might be why childhood felt so long. Not because the days were longer, but because your brain was recording more of them. When you are a kid, almost everything is new. The first time you ride a bike, the first time you sleep over at someone's house, the first time you get lost in a store, the first time you hear a song that feels like it belongs to you, the first time you make a friend without knowing how important they will become. Your brain pays attention to new things because new things matter. New things might be dangerous, new things might be useful, new things might change your place in the world. So when you are young, your brain is constantly awake. It is watching, learning, comparing, saving details, the smell of your classroom, the sound of shoes in a hallway, the feeling of sitting in the backseat at night while someone else drives, the strange comfort of cartoons playing in the morning. These things do not seem important when they are happening, but your brain does not know that yet, so it saves them. Because childhood is full of firsts, and firsts take up space in memory. That is why 1 year as a child can feel huge when you look back. It was hundreds of new experiences, hundreds of moments your brain had never seen before, hundreds of things that required attention. But as you get older, life becomes more familiar. You wake up in the same room, reach for the same phone, see the same ceiling, walk the same route, open the same apps, talk to the same people, worry about the same problems, think similar thoughts. And because your brain has seen this pattern before, it stops recording every detail. It does not need to save the 300th version of the same Tuesday. It does not need to remember every time you checked your phone. It does not need to remember every walk down the same street. So it compresses them. It folds repeated days into one blurry shape. And then, when you look back, there is almost nothing to hold on to. The time happened, you lived it, but your brain did not mark it as special. So it vanishes. Not because it was meaningless, but because it was familiar. Think about a vacation. You wake up somewhere new. You walk down streets you do not recognize. You hear different sounds. You smell different air. You make small decisions all day because nothing is automatic. Your brain has to pay attention, and it cannot run on autopilot. And because it pays attention, it saves more. So when you look back at a 1-week trip, it can feel bigger than an entire month of normal life. Not because the trip had more time, but because it had more memory. Now compare that to a month where every day looked almost the same. Wake up, phone, work or school, food, messages, scroll, sleep, repeat. At the end of that month, your brain might only have a few memories to show you. Maybe one conversation, one bad day, one funny moment, one thing that interrupted the pattern. Everything else becomes background, and that is when time feels stolen. You know you lived those days. But you cannot really find them. They are gone because they were too similar to each other. Your brain did what it was designed to do. It saved energy. It ignored what seemed predictable. But the cost is that predictable time disappears faster. This might be why life feels like it speeds up with age. Not because the clock changes, but because the ratio changes. When you are 5 years old, 1 year is a massive part of your life. It is 1/5 of everything you have ever experienced. But when you are 20, 1 year is only 1/20th. When you are 40, it is 1/40th. Each year becomes a smaller slice of your total life, so naturally it can feel smaller. But that is only part of the story, because even more than math, there is memory. A year full of new things feels long, a year full of repeated things feels short, and modern life is very good at making days repeat. Same rooms, same screens, same routines, same digital spaces. You can technically see thousands of things in a day, but many of them leave no real memory. A post, a comment, a notification, a clip, a headline, a message, another post, Another clip. Your brain is busy but not always deeply present. It is being fed information but not necessarily living experience. And that creates a strange kind of emptiness. You can spend hours consuming things and still feel like nothing happened. Because the brain does not remember endless scrolling the way it remembers walking through a new city. It does not remember 10 similar videos the way it remembers one strange conversation. It does not remember background noise the way it remembers a moment that made you stop. This is why some days feel full even when they are simple. A late night walk, a meal with someone you care about, a random conversation that goes deeper than expected. A song playing at exactly the right moment, a place you have never been before. These moments create anchors. They give your brain something to attach time to. Without anchors, time becomes a blur. And maybe that is what we are really feeling when we say time is moving too fast. We are not always saying the days are short. We are saying they are not distinct. They are not leaving enough behind. They are passing through us without becoming memory. And that can be scary. Because when time moves fast, it can feel like you are losing control of your life. It can feel like everyone else is doing something meaningful while your days are slipping away. But the truth may be quieter than that. Maybe your brain is not telling you that your life is empty. Maybe it is telling you that too much of your life has become automatic. Autopilot is useful. It helps you survive. It helps you get through routines. But if too much of your life happens on autopilot, your memory has nothing to collect. The days become efficient, but invisible. When everything is predictable, the brain relaxes its attention. It says, I know this already. Same room, same route, same problem, same screen. I know this already. And once the brain says that, the moment begins to disappear before it is even over. This is why childhood can feel so alive. Children are not better at time. They are just surrounded by things they do not understand yet. To a child, the world has not become obvious. So the brain keeps looking. But as we get older, we start naming things too quickly. That is just a tree. That is just my street. That is just another morning. That is just another year. But the moment something becomes just something, we stop seeing it. And when we stop seeing it, we stop saving it. Maybe that is why time feels slower during pain. When something bad happens, the brain pays attention again. A breakup, a move, a loss, a mistake, a moment of fear. Suddenly the world becomes sharp. You remember tiny details, what someone said, where you were standing, what the air felt like, the exact words that changed everything. Pain slows time because pain demands attention. But newness can do the same thing without hurting you. A new skill, a new place, a new routine, a new person, a new challenge, a new version of yourself. These things tell the brain, wake up, this matters. And when the brain wakes up, time expands. Not physically, but emotionally. Memory makes time feel bigger. Attention makes life feel longer. That does not mean you need to do something extreme every day. You do not need to move across the world. You do not need to constantly chase novelty. Sometimes slowing time down is smaller than that. Take a different route home. Eat somewhere new. Talk to someone without checking your phone. Notice the sky for 10 seconds. Write down one thing that happened today. Go outside without music. Sit with a moment long enough for your brain to realize you are actually there, because the brain saves what you notice. And maybe that is the part we forget. We think time is something that happens to us, but part of time is something we participate in. The clock will move either way, the sun will rise and disappear, the calendar will keep turning, but your experience of time changes depending on whether you are awake to it. A life filled with attention feels longer than a life filled with noise. A year full of small firsts feels bigger than a year of repeated routines. A single remembered moment can make an entire day feel real. So if life feels like it is speeding up, maybe that is not a warning that it is too late. Maybe it is an invitation to break the pattern, to pay attention again, to stop letting every day become a copy of the last, to give your mind something new to hold. Because time does not only slow down when we are young, it slows down when we are present. It slows down when we are learning. It slows down when we are surprised. It slows down when we stop calling everything normal. And maybe the reason childhood felt endless was not because we had more time. Maybe it was because we were better at noticing it. Back then, the world was not background. It was alive. Every street had mystery. Every day had a first. Every small thing had the power to become a memory. And maybe a part of that is still possible. Even now, even in an ordinary life, even on a normal day. You just have to give your brain a reason to say, remember this? Because the years are going to pass anyway. The question is not whether time will move. It will. The question is how much of it your mind will keep. And maybe, in the end, life feels longer when it stops being something you rush through and becomes something you actually notice.